I'm the most annoying guy on set, because I'm saying, excuse me, you do realize that this should be happening and they wouldn't do that, and you haven't read this, that means this would be impossible. And everyone's just going, Henry, just shut up and do the thing. And I'm like, I don't want to do the thing because he wouldn't do it this way, and he can do this. But with Sherlock, because I absolved myself of being that psychopathic law loyalist, I instead had the wonderful opportunity to work with Jack Thorne's script, work with Harry Bradbeer, the director, and work with Millie Bobby Brown, the lead actress, and also my producer. We could craft a Sherlock which was supportive of Enola as a character, and for me that was a real joy. And so, to answer your question, there's no one character more than the other which I put pressure on. I take the character onto myself, and it's more about self-pressure than external pressure.
Henry Cavill has long been known for his calm and composed demeanor, especially when it comes to handling criticism. Recently, however, his approach was put to the test when he was asked about the so-called toxic fandom surrounding his projects. His response was measured, respectful, and understanding of his fans. In contrast, Rachel Zegler's comments about the backlash to her role in Snow White have sparked significant controversy, with many criticizing her harsh dismissal of critics. Despite both actors facing intense public scrutiny, their responses couldn't be more different. In this video, we'll break down how Henry Cavill's way of handling backlash stands in stark contrast to Rachel Zegler's, and explore why, in this case, Cavill might have the upper hand.
I'm not easily impressed.
No.
I know some people who have done genuinely, seriously impressive stuff. And watching Tom do these stunts, especially in the mountains, in that helicopter, I just thought, okay, I'm officially impressed. This is ridiculous what he's doing. And he learns all these skills for these movies and does them to an elite level. It is remarkable, truly remarkable.
Did you feel the pressure to keep up with him?
He sets a wonderful example and a great bar to reach for.
Before diving into how Henry Cavill responded to fan criticism versus Rachel Zegler's meltdown, let's first take a moment to appreciate how Cavill managed to handle a similar situation with a level of grace that seems nearly impossible when compared to Zegler's more chaotic approach. When Rachel Zegler's controversial remarks started making waves, many fans and critics expected a response from other Hollywood actors. What followed was a perfect example of how two stars from completely different fandoms can handle a similar issue. Henry Cavill, no stranger to fandoms and their intense scrutiny, didn't just react, he laughed it off. Cavill has a long history of being involved in passionate fan bases, especially with the Witcher series. Fans of the Witcher books and video games were already vocal when Cavill was cast as Geralt, the iconic monster hunter, expressing concern that he wouldn't live up to the beloved character. When the show took liberties with the source material, many voiced their displeasure. However, instead of shutting down or mocking these fans, like Zegler did, Cavill showed understanding. He got it. When fans criticized the Witcher series for diverging from the games and books, Cavill wasn't defensive. Instead, he expressed how he understood why fans felt the way they did. It wasn't toxicity, but simply a deep connection to something they loved. When asked about the negativity surrounding the series, Cavill's response wasn't angry or dismissive. With a smile, he acknowledged that fans were allowed to have opinions, even if they criticized his own work. This calm and empathetic response stands in stark contrast to Zegler's meltdown, where, instead of addressing the concerns of fans, she labeled them as toxic and completely dismissed their opinions. Cavill's ability to empathize with the fans' passion while respecting their right to disagree is what made him stand out and why fans adore him. His laugh-it-off attitude helped him maintain his image and keep his connection with the audience strong, unlike Zegler, whose dismissive approach has only alienated her fans. So while Zegler fanned the flames with her harsh words, Cavill, by simply laughing it off, demonstrated how you can handle fan criticism with humility, respect, and a touch of humor.
Disney is scaling back the premiere of the new Snow White movie. Instead of the usual over-the-top, extravagant event, the studio will hold a low-key pre-party and screening at the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood. Unlike traditional red carpets, lead stars Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot will not take questions from the media. Can you imagine the Disney PR team before this event? Please, just don't let Rachel talk. For the love, she's been killing this movie. Snow White is set for release on March 21st. Insiders say that Disney's considering one last move with Snow White, pretending that it was a deepfake created by Russian trolls.
Disney's live-action Snow White has been a disaster from the start, but the latest controversy has taken things to a whole new level, and even Henry Cavill couldn't help but laugh at it. While Rachel Zegler has spent months defending the film's drastic changes and attacking critics, Cavill's response was pure amusement, highlighting just how absurd the situation has become. During a recent event, Henry Cavill was asked about the ongoing drama surrounding Snow White, particularly Rachel Zegler's repeated complaints about the original film being dated, and her insistence that the new Snow White would focus on leadership rather than love. Rather than engaging in the debate, Cavill simply chuckled and dismissed the controversy, making it clear that he found the whole situation ridiculous. His reaction quickly went viral, with many fans seeing it as a subtle but clear dig at Zegler's increasingly outlandish statements. Zegler has been at the center of the backlash since she was cast as Snow White. From the start, she alienated fans by openly mocking the original 1937 film, calling it extremely dated and claiming Snow White should no longer dream of true love. Instead, she insisted that her version of the character would focus on independence and leadership. But rather than winning over audiences, her comments sparked outrage, with many accusing her of disrespecting the beloved classic. Things only got worse when Disney announced that the Seven Dwarfs would be replaced with a group of magical creatures of various genders and sizes. While the studio claimed this was to avoid outdated stereotypes, fans saw it as another example of Disney prioritizing political correctness over storytelling. The backlash was swift, with many arguing that the studio was erasing a core part of the original film's charm. Unlike Zegler, who has repeatedly lashed out at critics, Cavill took the high road, proving why he remains one of Hollywood's most respected actors. Instead of making political statements or insulting the audience, Cavill's response was simply laughter. He didn't need to say anything more because his reaction spoke volumes. This stark contrast between the two actors has only further highlighted how poorly Zegler has handled the controversy, while Cavill has built a reputation for respecting fans and staying professional. Zegler's dismissive attitude and aggressive responses have only fueled the fire against her. In contrast, Cavill's composed reaction has only strengthened his relationship with fans. The backlash surrounding Snow White has forced Disney to adjust its plans, scaling back the film's premiere to a much smaller, low-key event at the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood, instead of the usual grand red carpet affair. The studio likely hopes this quieter release will help avoid further scrutiny, but with the controversy still raging, it's clear that no amount of damage control will erase the bad press. Meanwhile, Henry Cavill continues to be a fan favorite, proving that sometimes the best response to Hollywood's latest meltdown is just a good laugh. In this case, Cavill's reaction perfectly captured what many fans have been thinking all along. This entire situation is beyond embarrassing.
Goodness me, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. I really feel the love, and I love you guys too. It's so wonderful to be here. But I'm going to talk about what it was like filming my final season, and I actually just want to talk about my co-stars here, because once again, it was such a pleasure and an honor to be working with you guys. You guys bring so much nuance and detail to these characters, which are often at risk of being oversimplified. And what you guys have done with the characters has involved work, care, and effort. And believe me, working with you guys was the biggest pleasure. So, just want to say I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you very much.
Me, right?
For cardio's sake, what do you do for cardio? No cardio?
No, I run. That's the savory answer.
Yeah, so what is the real answer?
I think they get it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
My oldest brother was 4 years older than me.
He was considerably larger and incredibly strong. Simon, he was so strong that we would make fun of him by saying Hulk smash every time he got angry.
Were you guys surprised to find out that he was a gamer?
They're like, "Not really." No, I wear my geek on my sleeve these days.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess it's probably, is it pretty hard for you to like come to something like Comic-Con and just wander around and...
I don't wander around, man. Like,
Yeah, you don't get to.
I walk down sort of back alleyways
Yeah.
and stuff,
Yeah.
and yeah.
A big NFL football fan,
Yes.
which is unusual because typically when someone from England will come here, they get annoyed when I say football, referring to football.
Football. Right.
Because soccer's called football over there, but we know what the real football is. It's here. But you are what fan of the Chiefs, right?
I'm a Chiefs fan, yeah.
How did that happen?
Okay, so I spend a lot of time over here, obviously, and I've been watching some American football. I started to like the sport, and I realized I had to choose a team. And the only way I could choose a team was with something that was never going to change. So it wasn't going to be my buddy likes this team or whatever it may be. So I figured the one thing which won't ever change in my life is the Superman aspect of it. And I figured Superman's from Kansas, the Chiefs, people in Kansas support the Chiefs. It just all added up.
So you just kind of said like, oh, if Superman was a football fan,
Oh, he'd definitely be a Chiefs fan.
he'd be a Chiefs fan.
100%.
And you're probably right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's weird.
Henry Cavill's departure from The Witcher wasn't just about scheduling conflicts or his Superman commitments. The real reason, heavily speculated and supported by insiders, was his frustration with Netflix's blatant disregard for the original source material. This frustration is tied directly to Hollywood's obsession with modernizing classic stories to fit a woke agenda, often at the expense of the authenticity that fans cherish. Unlike many actors who take on franchise roles without knowing much about them, Cavill is a die-hard fan of The Witcher books and games. He's read Andrzej Sapkowski's novels, played the CD Projekt Red games extensively, and has publicly expressed deep admiration for the franchise. This wasn't just another acting job for him, it was a passion project. However, throughout his time on The Witcher, he repeatedly clashed with the show's writers over their decisions to stray from the source material. Cavill would often correct them on set when their changes contradicted the lore, advocating for the series to remain faithful to its roots. Instead of embracing The Witcher's established world, the show's creators were determined to update it for modern audiences, pushing changes that alienated longtime fans. Cavill's frustration wasn't just about minor changes. It was about Netflix's deliberate attempts to inject identity politics, race swapping, and revisionist storytelling into The Witcher, disregarding the rich Slavic folklore and European roots of the series. The showrunners openly mocked the source material and changed key characters, not for creative reasons, but to fit a modern ideological narrative. The spin-off series Blood Origin was a perfect example of this failure, becoming one of Netflix's worst-rated shows of all time with a disastrous 13% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Fans rejected these unnecessary changes, making it clear that they wanted an adaptation that respected The Witcher's legacy, not one that used the franchise as a vehicle for political messaging. Throughout his career, Cavill has consistently demonstrated a deep respect for the characters he plays, whether it's Superman, Geralt, or any other role. He approaches them with a commitment to authenticity and a responsibility to the fan base. However, in today's Hollywood, respecting tradition is often seen as a problem. Many studios prioritize rewriting classic stories to fit modern ideological trends, rather than honoring the original material. Anyone who pushes back against this trend is often labeled as difficult. Instead of conforming, Cavill stood his ground. Rather than attacking fans or making excuses, he chose to walk away from The Witcher, refusing to be part of a project that disrespected the very foundation of what made the franchise beloved. After Cavill's exit, Netflix's The Witcher franchise suffered a major blow. Fans lost interest, and the series struggled to maintain its momentum. The company's attempts to replicate the success of Game of Thrones completely backfired, and their mishandling of The Witcher was just another example of their growing disconnect from their audience. In 2022, Netflix's stock dropped over 50%, reflecting the backlash from viewers who were tired of seeing beloved franchises ruined by corporate agendas. Meanwhile, Cavill has moved on to a new project, Warhammer 40K, where he has full creative control, ensuring that it will not be subjected to the same woke rewriting that plagued The Witcher. Henry Cavill's departure from The Witcher is more than just an actor leaving a show. It's a statement against Hollywood's tendency to destroy beloved franchises in the name of modern political narratives. Unlike many actors who go along with whatever changes are forced upon them, Cavill stood firm for authentic storytelling and respect for the fans. This is why Henry Cavill hates woke culture. It prioritizes ideological messaging over quality storytelling, erasing the things that fans love. Rather than staying silent or playing the game, Cavill did something rare in Hollywood. He walked away with his integrity intact.
Are you really a nerd? Because I know you don't look like a nerd. You look like the opposite of a nerd.
Right.
You look like the quarterback or even, the offensive lineman or something like that. You're a big, handsome, muscular guy. And yet, you have hobbies, the hobbies of a nerd. Would you...
I do.
I'm told are very involved with, and this is... What is this thing you're painting?
It's a helmet, a very small helmet.
And this is the full figure...
And that is a body attached
to the helmet.
To the helmet.
You painted this.
I did.
And then you play with it?
You paint many of them, and then you play with them with other people.
How many did you paint?
Like
more than one?
It's within the confines of the hobby. We call it our grey pile of shame.
Your grey pile of shame?
Yeah, because they start off grey, and I have a very large grey pile of shame.
Are they metal or are they plastic?
They are plastic. They used to be metal, but now they're all plastic.
If I could change the world in some way, that's a very good question. I don't really know.
You nearly lost quite an important job?
Absolutely, yeah. I was playing a game called World of Warcraft. I missed the call from Zack Snyder to tell me I got Superman.
But, did you hear the phone ringing?
I did.
And you chose to ignore it?
Absolutely.
Did you win the video game?
Sadly, no. So I called him back immediately and said, I'm really sorry, I was saving someone's life. And I missed your call.
Which is what I do all the time.
And then he gave me the news.
So you were forgiven.
I was.
PlayStation or Xbox?
PC.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're a PC gamer?
Yeah.
But was that from when you were young? Or?
Yes. Yeah, my dad got me into that when I was very, very young.
Did you kind of build your own gaming PC?
I have not quite ventured into building my own myself. I've definitely have had custom PCs over the years. That will be the next project. As soon as I find enough time and the bravery, I might put my own PC together.
They're stronger than regular humans. They're trained excessively, and they are used to kill monsters. And we find Geralt in season 2 after having denied the responsibility of having a child surprise, which is, oh goodness, this is a long explanation.
Read the books.
I was wondering what the geekiest thing in your house was. I mean, aside from your gaming rig.
Geekiest thing would have to be my Warhammer stuff.
We're talking Games Workshop, aren't we? Yeah.
Yeah. It's that took me a while to kind of confess to openly and publicly.
A collection of white undercoat spray paint that just lurks in the back of the cupboard.
Yeah. I was like, what's this? For graffiti.
What's that? You have to dehydrate yourself.
That's the worst part of it. Like, diet is difficult, and you're hungry, but when you're dehydrating for 3 days, you get to the point on the last day where you can smell water, like nearby.
So why did you do that? To get super toad?
It gets it makes your skin really thin, so it sits on the muscles.
How do you feel now? Do you feel that Henry isn't really able to come out himself now?
My moustache bullies me. I can barely sleep at night because it forces me to put a moustache hammock onto it so it can sleep. So I can sleep.
Who would have known the drama?
It is the master.
Henry Cavill has repeatedly proven that he stands firmly against Hollywood's obsession with injecting politics into storytelling. Unlike many actors who simply go along with studio agendas to maintain their careers, Cavill has made it clear that he values authenticity over conformity. His track record of walking away from projects that disrespect the source material and fans speaks volumes about his commitment to staying true to what matters: genuine storytelling. One of the clearest examples of Cavill's anti-woke stance was his departure from The Witcher. He was passionate about portraying Geralt of Rivia and was committed to staying faithful to the character and the world Andrzej Sapkowski had created. However, the show's writers took a completely different approach, disregarding the Slavic-inspired folklore and rewriting the series to fit modern identity politics. Instead of respecting the novels, they mocked the source material, introducing forced diversity and unnecessary changes that angered fans. Cavill fought to keep the series true to its roots, but when it became clear that Netflix was more interested in pushing a political agenda than telling a great story, he made the decision to leave. The aftermath spoke for itself. The Witcher, Blood Origin, the spin-off that fully embraced woke messaging, flopped catastrophically with a 13% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes, becoming one of Netflix's worst-rated shows ever. This failure only cemented Cavill's stance. He knew what was coming, and he refused to be part of it. The same situation occurred with Superman. Cavill wanted to bring back the classic, hopeful version of the character that fans adored. However, Warner Brothers had other plans. Instead of embracing the Superman legacy, they wanted to reinvent him to fit modern ideological trends, even considering replacing Cavill with a politically motivated version of the character. Once again, Cavill refused to comply. Rather than compromise his principles, he chose to walk away, proving that he values his integrity more than his career. Now, the latest rumors suggest that Cavill is in talks with Lucasfilm for a role in Star Wars. Given Disney's disastrous handling of the franchise in recent years, filled with divisive storytelling and forced political narratives, many fans are worried this could be another woke disaster. However, Cavill has never been one to simply take a paycheck. If he does accept a role in Star Wars, it will be on his terms, ensuring that the story respects the original vision. Cavill has a history of walking away from projects that don't align with his values. If Disney attempts to control him and force their usual agenda into Star Wars, there's no doubt he will leave, just like he did with The Witcher and Superman. The fact that he's even in discussions for a role means there's a chance he could help bring the franchise back to what made it great. But if Disney refuses to let him do things the right way, he won't hesitate to walk away. The biggest proof that Cavill is anti-woke, however, is his involvement in Warhammer 40,000. This is not just another acting job for him, it's a personal project where he has full creative control. As a lifelong fan of the franchise, Cavill is producing this series himself to ensure that Hollywood doesn't corrupt it with woke messaging. He understands what makes Warhammer 40K special and refuses to let corporate interference destroy it. Cavill's dedication to Warhammer 40K proves that, when given the chance, he will always prioritize storytelling and respect for the source material over Hollywood politics. This is exactly why fans trust him. He's not in it for the money or the fame. He's in it because he genuinely loves these stories and refuses to let studios ruin them. Cavill's career choices make it clear that he rejects Hollywood's attempts to turn beloved franchises into political statements. He has walked away from roles that disrespected the original material, even when it cost him major opportunities. Whether it's The Witcher, Superman, or Star Wars, he has consistently fought for authenticity.